I'm Packy Visions TV. You're watching Had to Be There podcast. This is my very first compilation I ever put together. Please like, share, repost, comment, stay till the end. This is 6 Ohio true crime cases. What's up, TikTok family? This is technically going to be like my first time at a true crime story. But this is a real true crime story that hits close to home, and it took place in my city. I live in Warren, Ohio, Trumbull County, not Warren County down south. A lot of people get those confused. That's southern Ohio. I'm in northeast Ohio, Trumbull County. That's the Tribune Chronicle newspaper behind me. Right here is Danny Lee Hill. Him and his co-defendant, his buddy at the time, was Timothy Combs. They did something very horrendous. What I'm about to talk about is a touchy subject, and I'm going to use a certain wordplay to try not to make it be as graphic, but I'm just letting people know. I'm actually going to try to sit like this so it doesn't show their face no more, because I feel like they don't deserve it. This man was like the boogeyman to me as a kid in the 90s. My mom would always say, you don't want to end up like Raymond Fife. You better use that pay phone to call me. You better walk in groups of 2 or 3. You better be home before them street lights come on. So, before I go into the story here, how I know is my mom and dad went to school with these people of this same friend circle. I've also read online, and I read on the LexisNexis on the GTO tablet in prison. I looked the case up because I was that curious, because I grew up thinking about this. So, on September 10th, 1985, he was riding his bike. Poor Raymond was, and he went on his way to Boy Scouts on the west side, and over kind of by like Palmyra Road. But he cut through a trail that he's not used to cutting through, and he was just trying to get a shortcut, and he ran into Danny Lee Hill and Timothy Combs. So they was bullying him, calling him racial slurs. They start beating on him, and mind you, they only know all this because Timothy ended up telling him mostly everything during a confession, which became a huge deal later on in court because they were young, and it's something to do with the one parent wasn't there, but they got it videotaped and all this different shit. They're still trying to use it to this day. That's what this is behind us, is saying that now Dennis Watkins, which is one of our prosecutors, I've actually seen his name on my cases, he restored for this dude to get put down, and he acted like an animal, so fuck him. When this took place, they bullied him, beat him up, took his bike, but at some point, Danny Lee Hill took it way further. He SA'd him, did some things that he shouldn't have. He graped him, and he even tried to bite off his member, which is partially how they connected the case, was with a bite mark. But it all started because he became a suspect for 2 ways. Number one, Timothy was riding a bike around the neighborhood, so they already kind of started looking, saying, hey, dude's missing, that's his bike, how'd that happen? While that was still going on, Danny Lee Hill, being that he was in special ed classes and had an IQ of 63, walked into the police station and asked about the $5,000 reward. Made himself a huge suspect. During this time, my dad and them was saying around the school if they could figure out who did it, he would come up missing. Because for 3 days they were trying to figure it out, and it shocked our community. My dad and his friends was saying if they could figure out who did it, they would give him a taste of his own medicine. Once he got arrested, they never realized they was sitting right next to him in the lunch cafeteria that whole time. I wasn't going to go into the detail, but I figured I might as well, even though it's like the end of the story. They not only beat him up, bullied him, and did what they did, but they tried to bite, his member off. Then on top of that, it said that they was putting sticks places, and then it said that they used his own underwear to attempt to unalive him and take his breath. They found him hanging that way on a tree, still alive, barely though, and they also lit him with lighter fluid. Someone heard the screams. They came to his aid, but it was too late. By the time they got there, he was already out of it. He never recovered consciousness. I think it said he passed 2 days later or the next day. But yeah, I almost left that part out. I figured I already went this far. I might as well tell y'all what happened. Now you can understand why this angered our community. You can understand why I just said this dude could, he's a POS and I don't care if he rots in hell. I myself believe in God. I'm a Christian, even though people might not believe that because of the way I act sometimes and don't walk that walk. But I believe people could be forgiven for things, even serious things, if you ask for it and try to change your life, change the direction of your life. But I believe in a heaven and a hell, and if anybody would go there, it would be this dude, because that's like some monster stuff. Try to think in your mind if you as a human being could do that to another person, let alone a kid. I'm not talking about unaliving somebody in some street beef with your ops, which that's not okay neither. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that's not the same level of someone unaliving someone. This is different, like torturing somebody that did nothing to you and not caring that what you're doing to them is going to take their life in the worst way possible, and it was for no reason. When you think about it like that and you put yourself in his mom's shoes, I got 3 kids now. If I had found out something like this happened to one of my kids, I would not be sitting here talking to you right now. If they was in prison, I still would not be sitting here talking to you right now, because I would purposely be trying to get in there to find them. And then I'd probably stay there the rest of my life. As crazy as that sounds, as a parent, if someone did this to my kids, you're going down too. It's as simple as that. All right. Now till the next video, stay safe, stay free, stay blessed. Behind me, we got Sean Clemens, someone I met in the Trumbull County Jail. I've been researching true crime cases in my area. Anything to do with these and anything to do with the prison gangs and street gangs videos I'm going to start making is all allegedly. I'm just going off of information I've been able to find on the internet and rumors, word of mouth. Sean Clemens is called a lot of things in the community. A monster, a savage, a POS, just a bad person. A couple other words I can't use that involve when someone is unalived. Things of that nature. Now, for good reason too, because of the nature of the crime that he is accused of. But I, myself, am here to tell you, if you were sitting at the table with this man talking to him, you would never think that he was accused of A, being a psychopath, having a legit diagnosed psychotic disorder, and B, believe that he even done this stuff or was capable of doing this stuff. He seems like and comes off as a very chill, normal dude, soft-spoken, nice. He seems like the type of dude that'll give you his shirt off his back. I've actually seen him bless people and do things in jail and in prison. I ran into him again years later. Crazy part was I had a year left of my 7 years, and he was just there knowing he was never going home. So I met him in the county jail. I watched him get sentenced to life, and then I ran into him again about 6 years later. He went through a lot in jail. His brother died the same day that he was sentenced. So his mom pretty much lost both of her sons at the same time. He got up, he went to trial, knowing his mom and brother would be there. They've been sending him money, answering the phone every day, going to every court date. But for now, or on this day, he goes in and they're just not there. So he's confused. So they sentence him to life. They send him back to jail. Imagine how that would feel, first of all. But when he starts calling his family, nobody's answering the phone and he don't know why. Come to find out, it's because his brother OD'd the same night/morning. So when his mom woke up to get him up to go get ready and go to Sean's trial, her whole day shifted right there. That's one of the saddest parts, is that she lost both her kids in the same day. Now, a lot of people ain't going to have sympathy for this regardless of because of what he's accused of. I'm going to try to explain it without violating anything on here. I'm not sure if I can go into details, but it states that he was accused of unaliving his neighbor by using a shovel, a pocket knife, his fists and pretty much just blunt force. Now the crazy part is they're telling him that he did this. He's telling them plus everyone else that he was on Xanax and he don't remember doing this. He's also told me that he's pretty sure he didn't do this. So what's sad about it is that in his mind, he believes he didn't do this. But with all the evidence they brought forward, they pretty much know he did. I'm not saying at all that he ever admitted it because he never did. But what I am saying is they try to say that they found a half of a $10 bill with blood on it. Half was in his house, half was in her house. They said that they found a gas can. They somehow linked to him. Also, they walked from her house to go ask each neighbor what they've seen when the old woman, she was 84 years old. One of her kids or family members came to look for her and check on her, and she didn't answer. So they seen what happened. Back door was smashed, the glass sliding door, with a sledgehammer. They went in, seen it was ransacked. They found her with her throat, you know what, and then from there the cops came, so they went door to door in the neighborhood. Well, the first thing they noticed when they walked across the street to his house is the back sliding glass door was half open and there was dried brown blood on the door. Now, I remember he told me he was a construction worker, I just don't remember what, and I matched that up with what I'm about to say about his co-worker when I read this on the laptop. They say allegedly he told his co-worker and confided in him, made him pinky promise not to tell no one, but he admitted it to him. So during all that time while they're at the house looking, he's doing that on his way to the methadone clinic. At some point during his workday, him and another co-worker went to the methadone clinic. But when his workday and his doctor appointment was all done and he went home, there was already cops at his house. They wanted to question him. I guess he had some form of marks that showed them that he was in some kind of altercation, which didn't look good. But the craziest part was that he had a portion of his eyebrow burned off and a burn on his arm. Let me get into why. So they said that he burned her car, her Cadillac. He took her car after ransacking the house, getting whatever he got. He took the car in a field not far away and he caught it on fire. Well, one thing I do remember when we was all in the block is he was sleeping on the boat and people was literally like talking amongst each other like, hey, I think that's dude over there asleep that's on the news right now. And while they were saying that he did that with the, car and burning it, when he finally woke up and realized where he was saying he knew he didn't do the shit, but people started telling him to go look in the mirror because a portion of his eyebrows were burned. And what was crazy is he freaked out when he realized that. He put everything together, and he ended up going and having to sit in the hole on suicide watch for a couple weeks. The only reason I'm talking about this is because he's already been sentenced to life. He's already tried to do his appeals as far as I know. Like I said, I'm not saying this man did or didn't do this. I'm just saying that the state of Ohio thought he did, so they sentenced him to life for it. Now, in this photo right here, you would think that thing on his forehead matches up with what they said about him having defense wounds, but that's not what that is. The only thing he had was some marks on his neck, a burn on his arm, and the eyebrow thing I mentioned. This is from a fist fight that he got in with another inmate in our block named Sean Simpson. He's also another person who was sentenced to life. I'm not going to talk about his case. It's a personal reasons why I don't want to mention his case. It's way too much shit going on there, and that's actually my friend who I've known from my city, and he's been in my friend group for years. So I'm not going to get into his situation that he was also accused of unaliving somebody. But this right here, I don't mind talking about. I was actually close with him in jail. Like I said, he's already been sentenced and his appeals, whatever, he can't do it. So he's just accepted that he's there. I'm pretty sure Sean's trying to get an appeal too. The other Sean that I just mentioned, who I don't want to talk about his case. What's wild, they both ended up at the same prison, at Trumbull Walls, which is where I ended up doing my time, which is right here in our backyard. Warren City is where I live, Trumbull County, and Leavittsburg is right down the road, probably not even 4 or 5 minutes. That's where they're at. So it makes sense why they're here. It's down the road from where they both live. When you're doing a life sentence, 9 times out of 10, if you write the Columbus ODRC, they will move you closer to home. One good thing about him being able to be comfortable is he has family helping him, his mom and maybe some other people. But they bless him a lot. He's got a lot of shit going on with commissary, electronics, clothes. So he is well taken care of. I've met his wife one time. What's crazy is we actually met each other without knowing that we would ever meet again. Me and Monique was at an NA meeting. Some female there said she needed a ride home because her dude was tripping. We gave her the ride home to Liberty, to this house. When we pulled up, he was outside waiting because she had a pack of cigarettes for him, and he was in a bad mood about something. I don't know the details. And she said thanks for the ride. They got out and they went in together. But I never talked to him. I just seen him in the driveway. He's the one who reminded me of this when I met him in the county jail. I actually could think of multiple other story times that he has told me that are separate stories from this case and situation, but he's told me like 2 or 3 different things I feel like might be worth talking about. So if people are interested in that, let me know. If not, I'll just keep it to the true crime part of this. I'm going to start doing these videos. But as I do them, if I mention things connected to or like a spin-off of, then you guys can let me know. I got a really good memory, and I'm able to just dig deep into my memory, and I could probably come up with multiple videos off of this dude right here. Substances and alcohol clearly played a huge role in this. They're accusing him of this, and he's saying he don't remember. Me, myself, I'm on them orange things that people take to stay off other things. I'm not going to say the word, but it feels like I just swapped one thing for another. I got 41 days a day I haven't drank alcohol, though, so that feels good. I wish him nothing but the best, and his family, too. To the next one, stay safe, stay free, stay blessed. Behind me, we got Marcus Allen Honsaker, somebody from my city. This is another addition to my true crime in Ohio stories. I'm going to go into what they're accusing him of doing, both on the streets and in prison. A little bit of backstory is that I've known him for years. Me and him have the same friend circle. We've both lived in the same cities, Warren and Newton Falls, off and on. I used to half-ass date his sister, kinda, for a couple months. We were like each other's first for a couple things, when we were young. I'm not even sure if he knows that, and he's a little bit older than us. I'm 35. I think he's a couple years older. It's about to tell us here in a minute. But she was a real cool girl. R.I.P. to her. She ended up passing away. All respect. We was just kids, and we dated for a few months and experimented with things and whatnot. So he was a little older than us. We used to kick it around him. He would buy us stuff and have connections to things that we didn't. It was pretty cool. Another little spin-off backstory. I just made a video a couple days ago about how my charges and different things on the news about me. Well, remember I mentioned there was a 2009 case of a group fight that a bunch of us, they said we was involved. Shots were fired. They found 16 shell casings. Houses and cars got hit. There was a guy on the news saying his oxygen tank got hit, but they could never find the thing, the pew-pew. So even though they had thought that we had this group fight and had like a shooting, they don't know. They couldn't prove it, okay? And my point I'm getting at is, even though they had everyone involved, they never did nothing. They never could do nothing because they could never prove nothing. They just questioned everybody. So because they were questioning everybody, right, he lived within like a 2-block radius of this. And nobody knows how, who, or why. But a couple days later, he was standing outside in his front yard and he got popped in the leg. And people even called me that same day and said, what happened? Is there, what's the story behind it? Was it you? Was it your friends? I said, absolutely not. They said because he had nothing to do with that fight, and why is he getting randomly hit not even 48 hours later in his front yard? But it's only 1 or 2 streets over from where that happened. So in people's mind, they're thinking it was some kind of retaliation. Well, we all said no, but then the police tried to say that he did it to himself. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm alleging that they said that he did this to himself because there was like a ring around his leg. I don't know. I just thought somebody rode by and popped him. I really don't know. But that's like a little spin-off, story, because they were accusing and alleging that he was trying to get out of going to jail for some other charges. But that don't make sense, so I don't know. But it was with the exact same caliber. It was with a 9mm. We remember, like I said, when this was taking place, Warren man has been sentenced to life in prison without parole for stabbing his 71-year-old great uncle. 27-year-old Marcus Honsaker could have faced the death penalty for the stabbing of Donald Giovanni last November. I got this bright light in my eyes. A friend discovered Giovanni's body at his Atlantic Street Northwest home November 20th, just days before his trial was set to begin in Trumbull County Court. Honsaker pleaded guilty to aggravated murder, burglary, tampering with evidence, and 2 counts of aggravated robbery. So people were just saying he was partying and whatever with his uncle, or at least at his uncle's, and something happened. They had a disagreement. This ended up happening. There was people claiming he did it because he wanted to take stuff from his house. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know what went on. I don't even know if he did this. I'm just saying, in the court's eyes, this is what they're saying, that he robbed and unalived his uncle. So now, once he was in the joint, though, they're saying he did this. Cellmate who was strangled was serving a sentence for grape. Prison inmate serving life without parole for murdering his elderly great uncle, and Warren is now accused of fatally strangling cellmate Marcus Honsaker, indicted by Warren County jury, involuntary manslaughter and tampering with evidence. The next one said that he tried to flush the sheet down the toilet and they found it in the plumbing. But more or less, okay, Lebanon Correctional, I've talked about it a lot. Warren Correctional is right across the street, literally. If you act up at Warren, you go right across the yard to Leb because it's the disciplinary. But it's also a really bad level 3. It's up there. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it's in between with the how much stuff goes on there. So yeah, more or less they're saying that he did this to his bunkie, and I don't know, but I was mad to find out that they said he did this and that he was never coming home. Obviously, nobody should unalive nobody. I ain't justifying it. I don't know if he did it, but they found enough reason to think he did. I just meant that I was so close with his sister back in the day. My mom and dad was cool with his mom and dad, or at least with his dad, the Marcus Honsaker Sr. My mom and dad both know him, and I think they even said they went to Turner and Warren, maybe Warren Western Reserve also. They just went to different schools together. So if you guys know him or anything about what I just said, put facts in the comments. Let me know, what's your outlook on this. Sometimes people just crash out when they go away and they don't care because they see that they ain't never going home. You piss them off on the wrong day, shit like this happens. Maybe he did it when he found out what he did. I don't know. I couldn't get much information. I could probably Google just his story, the separate dude's story. Hold on, let me see what I can find. So I found a video and it'll show the guy, but I could not find nothing about his case from 2005. His name's Anthony Purk, P-U-R-K, from St. Paris, Ohio. If you can find something, let me know. I looked it up. Everything is just about him being unalive. I don't know if it's because it's too far back. Like I just said, I can't find nothing from the 2009 thing. So I don't know. I think they're changing online things. The further it goes, it's like they make room for new stuff. I don't know. But I'm going to show y'all this clip.
Now know the names of an inmate who was killed at the Warren Correctional Institution.
The Ohio State Highway Patrol is now handling that investigation.
Jessica Schmidt at the alert desk with the information from troopers. Jessica?
Now, troopers say they are now investigating the death of Anthony Purk. He had been in prison since 2005. A report from OSP shows another inmate killed Purk through asphyxiation May 11th. This case is being called a homicide. Troopers aren't detailing exactly what happened yet, but we are told that Purk was taken to Atrium Medical Center where he died. ODRC records show Perk was serving a sentence of 10 to life for a rape charge. His next chance at parole would have been in March 2023. Reports show the suspect, again another inmate, is now facing a charge of aggravated murder. Troopers have not identified that other inmate, but once they do, we'll bring you that update.
Behind me, you got Austin Burke. It's somebody who I met in the Trumbull County Jail. I only spoke to him like 2 times on the 4th floor, felony block 4A. He spent a lot of time in the hole. Matter of fact, I met him like 2 days later. He was in the hole. He was HF, Heartless Felons. I also know he fought this other dude named Mike Pence when we was in there. I also know he was trying to take the new guy's commissary. He was wilding out. I'm pretty sure he fought Sean Simpson, this other kid that was in there with us. Yeah, he was young and, you know, kind of wild, but I'm gonna read some of his situations and then I'm gonna show you what they're saying happened since he's been incarcerated. Austin T. Burke found guilty Friday on all charges in connection to the June 12, 2017 unaliving of Brandon Sample and the armed robbery of a Pizza Joe's in Cortland a week later. Now, he also got his discovery pack, and it had like photos of this dude in the woods in Cortland. Obviously in the, you know, the state that he was. R.I.P. him. Sorry to your family, especially if you happen to see this. No disrespect or none of that, but I do remember that he was showing people the photo, like whatever the photos was. I didn't even look or care to look. But in the little couple days that I was in there, that was all I remember, was that he got into a fight like the second day, and the first day he was showing people stuff from his discovery pack, photos of his alleged victim, and wanted, you know, more or less like, hey, look at this. You guys ever seen a body? Now, I also remember he had this same thing happen in the Trumbull County Jail, where he made a weapon and they gave him a new charge of introducing weapons into a detention facility or whatever, having weapons while under detention or something like that. That was in the county. And then this, Trumbull County man serving a sentence for unaliving was indicted earlier this month on charges that he had a knife in prison, attacked an inmate. Austin Burke, he got felonious assault, 2nd-degree felony, possession of a weapon. So he did that in the county, then he did it here, and then this.
Murderer is tonight the prime suspect in another death after a fight behind bars at the Lucasville prison. Thanks for joining us. I'm Amanda Barron. Investigators say the victim was another man serving time for murder. Ruben Melendez was 65 years old and from Arizona. 13 News reporter Lane Ball has more on the suspect, who now potentially faces an even longer sentence, and he's only in his 20s.
Austin Burke was just 19 years old when a jury found him guilty of killing a man in Bristolville, Ohio, being involved in an unrelated armed robbery in Cortland, and making a shank while in jail.
Hi, Mr. Rich. We are here for the purposes of arraignment.
This is video from one of his hearings in Warren, Ohio. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole until he'd served 47 years, with an added 11 years for making the shank. Now, he's 25 years old and has already served 6 years in Scioto County, but he could be facing more time after investigators say he was involved in a deadly fight over the weekend inside the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility. It's not clear what sparked the fight with Ruben Melendez, but investigators believe Burke hit him in the head, leading to his death. In Lucasville, Lane Ball, 13 News.
is my part 3 video on Austin T. Burke. So I had talked about some situations that the things he was accused of before prison, the things that he was accused of in prison, and whatever. I ended up having his mom in the comments, one of his brothers, somebody he did time in juvenile with, and this and that. I'm not going to say their name. We actually just talked on the phone. And I want to give y'all a rundown of what's an example of when you only have the option to look at the news or go off your memories, hearsay, this and that, and it's not always accurate, for one. So I want to go ahead and say, I don't want to talk about anything to do with him when it comes to his STG shit, because we don't know. Dude said something in the county that wasn't true, is what I'm getting at. And not him, someone else. When he got into the one fight and went to the hole, another person told me that he said that he was HF, and that's why he got into an argument with the dude from Cleveland, because they said he was MPK, this and that. But I just talked to somebody who told me that shit's not accurate. So I want to go ahead and let that be known. We're not in there with him. We don't know what he got going on. If he's not standing in front of us simply saying what it is from his mouth, we can't go off of that. And I got to remember that for the future. I got to remember that not everything what's the old saying they say? Believe half of what you hear, or believe half of what you hear and none of what you see, or something. How's it go? Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, or something like that. I can't fucking remember, but it's an old saying in the joint. It just means it's a bunch of rumors. And also, I might have the opportunity to get on the phone with him, but he's only able to use the phone once in a great while, like once a month, and they're supposed to three-way me. He's going to remind him of the one fight I got in where he was cheering me on. Him and my bro, David Lindbeck, got real close. And by the time we had both went to the hole, I rolled out to prison, got indicted, came back. He was still in the county that whole time. But we flip-flopped. At that time, he was in 4A. And then when we went to the hole, when I came back, I was in 4A and he was in 4AS. And I got into a fight with this dude from Cleveland. I'm actually about to do a separate interview or video on that today, a fight story. And him and my bro was in the window, banging on the window and cheering me on. I remember it like it was yesterday, because time was slowing down, you know, that adrenaline. I seen him. He was looking through the window with like this, because it's hard to see. It's like a thick glass. And he had a shirt wrapped around his head. They both did. And Dave was yelling at the COs to get off of me because they were manhandling me and shit. And he was yelling and shit, hooting and hollering. And then I remember laying in the cell, like thinking, okay, so they must have got somewhat cool or whatever. They was in there with this dude named Russia and all this other shit too. So yeah, I'm just using that as an example. We only spoke like twice. And then he got into some fights. I got into some fights. We never seen each other again. I'm going off of what the news is saying. And his mom said, where are you getting your information? But I wrote her back trying to say, in the green text on that video, you'll see me say, unless he got a new state Fed case, how is he going to the feds for state time? I was saying I've never heard of this. But other people in the comments told me it is kind of common and it happens once in a while. If they think you have any kind of influence in the prison system, they'll send you where they want to be able to keep an eye on you. But I never said he had a Fed case. I was simply saying, unless he caught one, how is he going to the state? She wrote back and said, he didn't get a Fed case. Where are you getting your information? I just wanted to make that clear. Also, I also found out some other information regarding the first thing that they accused him of. I don't want to go into details, but what I will say is it made me feel a lot less bad. If you know, you know. I want to talk about it, but I don't want to say anything that's going to ever mess him up in the future. So I'm going to leave it at that. But I will say that some inside information that I got regarding some of the things that he was accused of, it didn't make me feel as bad when I found out the true backstory behind it. It's crazy. This shit needs to be on a documentary. Like, I seen that his mom wrote a book or had a book made, one or the other. I think it was called The Wrong Ride Home. If I'm mistaken, I apologize. Also, I want to let that shit be known. This is no disrespect to Austin, his mom, his brother. I seen there was some controversial shit going on in my comments. That's what the comment section is for y'all to put your input. But I'm not trying to be disrespectful towards any of y'all. This is what I do. I make prison-related content, and I make true crime, mostly from Ohio, content. That's what I do. I'm grateful to say we get paid on Facebook for doing this. I left that account to Monique. It got 11,000 followers. I left it to her. She runs the posts, pictures, comments, whatever over there. We get a couple $100 a month over there. I'm trying to get my TikTok to 10,000, and then I'll be having this monetized while she'll have that monetized. She's on her Facebook all day. I'm on my TikTok all day. That's what we do. And so, you know, some of the things I'm going to talk about are controversial. Some of the things, people have different beliefs in this and that. And that's why I said this is a very fine line. Like certain things that I'm going to talk about, it's a fine line. I did one on Sean Clemens, accused of unaliving somebody. I did one on Marcus Honsaker, accused of unaliving two people from my area. True crime and prison-related content. I'm going to continue bringing it to y'all every day. It is what it is. But people are going to have their own way of how they believe and what they feel, whatever. Anybody who wants to reach out to me or give me ideas, for one, you can do that. Or if you want to come on and do a thing, you have to download Zoom. We could do that because I've been figuring it out. I also want to start these interviews. I got so many inmates and COs ready. I paid for the Zoom platform, and we started talking, and when I went to get the file, you can't hear us talking. So I don't know what I did wrong, but the audio ain't there. And it gives you a certain file that goes to the cloud. It's completely different setup than what I thought. I learned about Zoom from the two shows I went on, Blood on the Reservoir TV and After Prison Show. They both told me, download Zoom, we're going to do a meeting. So that's obviously how people do it. I just got to figure it out. Because as of right now, the only ghetto way I know to do interviews is on a live session and then go back and get the highlights. I don't want to do it like that. So yeah, I just want to let that be known. No disrespect. Me and Austin had a mutual friend. He did get into some fights in there. The one dude who told me he was arguing with the black dude from Cleveland over whether he was HF, Heartless Felons, or MBK, my brother's keeper, which is the white dudes from the Felons. Someone very, close to him who knows inside information told me that that's not true, and that at one point they were beefing with some HFs when they was in DYS. So that's just an example that you can't just go off what you hear, and that's my fault. I should have never did that. I should have never just took one memory from one person saying something. Oh yeah, no wonder why he's acting like this. He's a HF, whatever. And they usually are pretty rowdy and they want to make a name for themselves. But just because that one person said that doesn't mean I should have put that on his name. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of ins and outs, twists and turns in this bumpy road, any kind of life with crime and any kind of life within the prison system. You really can't just believe everything you hear. And even with me making these videos based on what I learned on the news, it's not always accurate. They don't even put everything in the news, for one. And when they do, it's not always true. Like I told y'all, I had some cases that they said was they were trying to pin things on me and saying that me and the dude I was with and these two black kids I know, they try to say that we strategically robbed these stores at the exact same time so that the cops, whatever. Yes, we did know them people. And yes, we were within a few block radius. It was just a coincidence though. So the news put our cases together as one and said we purposely did this. They even put our mugshots right next to each other. We weren't even around each other that night. So to all the news people out there, y'all just get paid to make whatever and don't even got your facts straight. I'm trying to avoid that. I am bringing y'all true crime and prison content. I want it to be as accurate as I can, and I also keep it as real as I can. That's why I told y'all I don't got no filter. I don't sugarcoat anything. If I offend people, then get off my shit. Quit following me. Don't watch my videos. But I'm trying from this point forward to make sure everything I say is 110% accurate. So take it how you want. Until the next one, stay safe, stay free, stay blessed.
If you're not new to my channel, then you know not only do I post prison content, true crime content, paranormal content, and then I have my daily vlog. I mostly keep the prison and true crime content from Ohio. I do go outside of that sometimes. Well, I found a case that it just shocked me, and I want to let this be known right now. Viewer discretion is advised. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'm going to go into the settings and figure out how to set this one to 18 and older. I know sometimes the platform does it on its own, and you have to accept it or delete it. It's pretty much your choice. And it's when it puts that eyeball in front of the screen before you click it, and it'll say like watch anyways or skip content. This one I feel like deserves it. If you have ever had any sort of DV or trauma or PTSD, this video very well could be triggering. Some people don't like to learn about, you know, certain things. They find it disturbing. Me personally, I've always been into horror movies, the disturbing stuff. It really don't bother me. Not everybody's that way. I want to let it be known. Condolences from my family to their family for this story I'm about to tell you. I'm going to explain it real quick, play a couple clips, but just know I'm playing the clips backwards. And this is exactly why. Let me explain to you why I'm playing the clips backwards. So, for one, this situation took place in 1998. And there was a woman. It's going to say her name and all her information in the video. Everybody involved is going to say their information. The woman had a stalker, okay, a man who obviously didn't want to, he couldn't take no for no. He decides that he's going to get back at her on Friday the 13th, 1998. And what he does is he goes to their house, to their apartment. The first thing he does is goes in the house and he uses a knife on her two children, the daughter first and the son next. Luckily, thankfully, they survived. He used it on the mother, too, who at that time still was survived. He then waited outside, and he had a weapon mostly used for hunting. At that point, he waited for the ambulance to come. And when the ambulance came, he fired upon them. Then after that, he tried to hijack a woman, and he unalived her and got the car. A police officer seen them, went in a high-speed pursuit. They ended up unaliving him. So 25 years later, on the anniversary, she comes on the news and does a, thing in memory of her mom for Toledo, Ohio. They're talking about 25 years later. Well, what's so creepy about watching this footage is while she was doing that special for her local news, no one would have ever known that 2 years later, she would also become victim to a DV. So on the 27th year after it happened, her boyfriend decided to do the same thing. And they had a DV. He unalived her and he unalived himself. And it definitely is a tragic, sad case. I'm surprised I've never heard about this. But ever since I became a content creator, I've been looking into stuff. And I just don't understand how this doesn't have more exposure. They should be doing like a memorial for this. Something. This deserves more attention. So, normally I'll ask y'all to like this and share this and comment and this and that for the growth of my channel. But this one, I'm asking y'all to share for the respect of her and her family, I guess. You don't got to, obviously, but if some people watch this without engaging, I get that. But I feel like this deserves some exposure right here. This is really sad. And now them kids are growing up without their mom, just like Ashley grew up without her mom. I'm going to show you guys this footage right now. This is really sad. This is my true crime case from Toledo. Let's break it down.
Hello, I'm Jeff Smith. I thought it was important to take a moment and reflect on the loss of a Toledoan this week. Ashley Fonseca, also known as Ashley Morris, was just 10 when Toledoans learned of the tragic day in 1998 that changed her life. We're about to show you the story that we put together 2 years ago, marking the 25th anniversary of that tragic day. Ashley was brave that day 2 years ago, brave enough to meet with me and photojournalist Paul Kwapik, honoring her mother who died in a violent attack. Sadly, this week, Ashley's life was cut short, and by all indications, it was an act of domestic violence. We mourn her, and we pray that she is now at peace. Here's our story from February 13th, 2023. We are hiding the identity of the victim in our next story. She experienced a life-threatening traumatic event 25 years ago and has anxiety. She wants the story to air and agrees this is a step forward for her mental health. In just a few minutes, we will share resources for trauma victims. The following is a WTOL 11 exclusive. Monroe and Secor, one of Toledo's busiest intersections. It's seen its share of traffic and crashes and demonstrations over the years, but nothing compares to what happened here 25 years ago. It was February 13th, 1998, one of Toledo's most violent and tragic days. And although the horror of that day ended in this spot, its impact has never gone away.
Hey man, calm down. Tell me what's going on. There's a guy that just pulled in the backyard. He has got a knife.
You know, there's not a Friday the 13th that goes by that it doesn't come back into my mind.
Hey, dispatch, we got people all over this place. They're panicking.
I mean, it still feels fresh. You know, I was old enough to still remember everything, so I was 10. I can remember everything, like everything.
Ashley Morris was 10 when the man stalking her mother repeatedly stabbed her.
Like, if I can replay it again, like I'm there. Like, I remember every little detail.
Joe Chappell worked with and was obsessed with Ashley's mom, Vivian Morris, and he couldn't handle the rejection. That Friday afternoon, he attacked Ashley first.
I got stabbed 14 times. I remember, you know, I got all the scars everywhere. Like, after that, I had like it's called like mitral valve prolapse, I guess, trauma to the heart. So I had like heart problems, and I got like tendon problems from getting stabbed in my tendon.
Went after Ashley's brother Adam before wounding her mom so badly she would later die in an ambulance.
You gotta calm down, Louis. We can't understand you. Just north of Sylvania Avenue. 2 ambulance drivers been shot with a shotgun.
Chappell wasn't done. He ambushed the ambulances carrying Morris and her kids, shooting 2 first responders.
I turned to the left, and all I saw him was doing was aiming the shotgun at me, and next thing I know, I was flying through there.
He shot and killed 21-year-old Brandy Williams when she wouldn't give up her truck to him.
Was it with a shotgun?
I think my son thinks it was a shotgun.
And then the final scene, the chaos, when Toledo police shot and killed him.
They shoot out the back window. Just looking. There he goes. Shots fired. Shots fired. Quick, just down. Everyone else down.
Okay, so here in Ohio, within the Department of Corrections, it's a notoriously known inmate named Casey Pidge, also known as Box Cutter. At one time, he killed his girlfriend's mother using a box cutter. They sentenced him to prison. For reasons unknown to me, he decided to kill his bunkie, who was another white dude. He tricked him into putting a blindfold on to show him a magic trick, beat him in the head repeatedly with a cylinder brick that they pulled out the wall. They was riding him to another prison. For reasons unknown to me, he strangled to death an older black man who was a sex offender. Then him and another inmate tried to kill his CO, stabbed him over 30 times, but he survived. They now have him at OSP in Youngstown Supermax, being monitored all day long, barely coming out of his cell. But everybody around here knows the story of him. He's the first prison serial killer, trying to be at least.